What's up, Vault Dwellers? Dan here, and we're back with a part 6 of our adult animation series. And once again, you all picked the films, so if you don't like what I'm covering, it's all your fault. I went and sifted through hundreds of comments, then I pulled out 10 videos that I think deserve a little bit more attention. And we're going to rank them by how well they push the medium forward and how batshit crazy they are. We've got some Yugoslavian fantasy darkness, a Soviet experimental anthology, a little bit of Japanese psychological horror, and to top it all off, a French sci-fi philosophy. Number 10, it's a bit flawed, but interesting. And number 1, it's just a masterpiece that changed animation forever. All right, let's get into it.
No way I'm going in there.
It's your only chance, boy. It's just a house.
All right, I'm putting this at number 10 or the bottom because honestly, it barely qualifies. But enough of you mentioned in the comments that I felt like I had to include it. All right, so we've got Macaulay Culkin, and he gets treated like a wet bandit and gets bonked on the head in the library with a candlestick, and boom, he's in this animated world of classic literature. The problem is, it can't decide what it wants to be. It's kind of too scary for kids, yet just too childish for adults.
Uh-oh.
Look to the books. Look to the books.
Look to the books. Look to the books. Alice in Wonderland.
You know, I do remember watching this and thinking that Jekyll and Hyde sequence, I thought that was actually kind of creepy. But the rest of the movie is just, it just kind of exists, right? Christopher Lloyd shows up and he does his Christopher Lloyd thing as the Pagemaster himself, which, you know, obviously that's fun. And I'll give him credit, combining live action and hand-drawn animation back in 1994. That was actually pretty expensive and technically challenging at the time. Anyways, I just don't think it delivered. It's stuck in this like weird middle ground where it's not fun enough to be entertaining, and it's not smart enough to justify its literary existence.
I lost the library card. I can't check anybody out. We'll never get to the exit now.
Honey, never say never around fantasy. Because sometimes you've got...
So, no thistle, no painter. I am cut to the quick.
All right, this one's a pretty deep cut that probably most of you have never seen. This is a Yugoslav animation that basically like nobody outside of Eastern Europe even remembers. There's a painter who gets transported to this magical forest where mushroom people, and I do love mushrooms, they're fighting an evil cactus king. I know that sounds strange, but you know, trust me here, I get it. But there's something so unsettling about this movie, it'll stick with you. The mushroom people are cute, but just slightly off, you know? They're just alien enough to be disturbing. And the Cactus King, he's kind of menacing in a way that American animation from that era, they really wouldn't dare to attempt. Here's the thing about this Eastern European animation. They weren't afraid to scare the absolute shit out of children. This has sequences that just feel dangerous, where you're not sure the heroes, if they're going to even be okay. The hand-drawn animation, it's absolutely beautiful. You know, there's a great color palette that's rich but strange in ways that feels kind of like psychedelic. You know, back to the mushrooms, right? My issues with this one is that the pacing really drags. It's made for kids, but there's just so much filler. But when it does work, it totally works. This is one of those films where you can feel a different cultural approach to storytelling. It's not trying to make you comfortable, though.
So,
Sharper than a serpent's sting does this treachery pierce my heart. Spine tinglers! Find that traitorous Thistle and bring him to me! Now!
Was always pointing, had just up and disappeared.
Jiminy, Arrow. That was a close call. You gotta watch your step. That hoe could be...
Continuing on with our mushroom psychedelic theme, we're going to talk about The Point, which is about a round-headed boy in a world where everyone has pointed heads. And it's just exactly as psychedelic as that sounds. This aired on ABC back in 1971, and I can only imagine how many kids have their minds just absolutely blown while watching this. This movie had a ton of different narrators based on which release you saw, like Ringo Starr, Dustin Hoffman, and Alan Thicke. I mean, the whole thing, though, it has like this mellow, just stoned vibe that's just pure early 70s counterculture bleeding into children's television. The animation, it's kind of super limited, right? It's very Yellow Submarine influenced. And it's got lots of flat colors and just simple designs. But the story, it just gets so surprisingly philosophical. The protagonist, it's banished for being different, kind of like a Sneetch, right? And then goes on this journey and discovers that even pointless things have a point. Yeah, it's pretty heavy-handed. And what's wild is that this was pitched to kids, which is clearly made by adults experimenting with consciousness. The pointed man sequence, super trippy.
Ah, yes, quite pointless.
Wouldn't you say?
Fat, round,
Pointless.
Get it?
Oh, no. They do have a point. It's laughter and merriment and making each other happy.
Oh, really?
That's an interesting mystery.
It's at number 8 because, while it's historically interesting and the music kind of slaps, the animation's pretty crude and the philosophy, we'll just say it's pretty basic. But man, this thing's got heart.
It sure sounds like it could have been, but something's kind of confusing me.
Well, you just name it, son. You can't get answers in this world if you don't ask questions.
It's just that. I know there's a point to every leaf, but what's the point to all the leaves?
This here is a Belgian exploitation animation oddity. And that's probably all you really need to know about it, but I'm going to elaborate anyways. This is the What If It's Tarzan, but he's kind of horny and gross, and it commits to that premise with just zero shame whatsoever. This has just constant nudity, relentless sexual jokes, so much crude humor. This is just juvenile and offensive, and kind of brilliant in just how shameless it really is. Every single joke is about sex. The villain, it's Queen Bazonga, who lives inside a cave shaped like a woman's, right? Anyways, she's bald, and she wants to experiment with hair transplants, so she sends out her penis soldiers to get the hair of the ruler of the jungle, whose name is June. This movie is so wildly politically incorrect. But you know what's interesting here? The animation, it's actually good. It's crazy. They didn't have to make it look this good, but they did. The commitment to quality animation in service of constant dick jokes is just weirdly admirable. This is what animators made when they decided to target the raincoat crowd at the grindhouse theaters. Alright, we're going to do a sequel here to the Elm-Chanted Forest, and it's The Magician's Hat, which came out in 1990. And this one, it's actually darker than the first one. It's got the same director, same Yugoslav studio, but this time, Thistle the Magician, he teams up with his animal friends, some fairies, even a volcano-dwelling dragon, to go and fight the Ice Emperor Frostkill and his army of Ice Coast witches. Yeah, this is actually pretty metal. You know what's wild though? It never even got an official North American release, so probably none of you have even seen this thing. Peter Fernandez was working on an English dub, but American distributors, they just canceled it. The rumor is that they thought the scene where the Emperor gets killed through a stab in the chest with the Sword of Salvation, it was a bit too dark for Western kids. And you know what? They probably weren't wrong. This is legitimately disturbing children's animation. The cartoon, it doesn't pull punches. When characters are in danger, it feels real. When the villain gets defeated, it's violent and it's final. Eastern European animation had this willingness to traumatize kids that American studios just didn't want to touch. Well, at least they didn't want to touch it anymore. I'm putting this at number 6 because while it's darker and more ambitious than most kids' animation, it's still fundamentally a fantasy adventure for children. Just Eastern European children who apparently had stronger constitutions than we did after the 90s.
Silite dame, jer ja još imam nekaj posla.
Grendel, wrecker of mead halls, ruiner of kings.
Poor Grendel.
Grendel, Grendel, Grendel is an Australian adaptation of John Gardner's novel, which retells Beowulf, but from the monster's perspective. And this is what happens when you give a literary novel to animators who actually respect the source material. Peter Ustinov voices Grendel, and he's just absolutely perfect in this thing. And he brings wit and sadness to this monster who just wants to understand why humans are such violent assholes.
There's a fundamental involved here, Grendel. For everything that's cold, there's something hot. For everything that is, there's something else that's not. Light must have its darkness, good must have its bad. For everything subtracted, there's something else to add.
The animation is limited, but super stylish, uses flat colors and some very abstract designs. You know what I love about this? It's how it uses animation to get inside Grendel's head. His perspective, it's pretty skewed, right? Sometimes hallucinogenic here. And the humans to him look grotesque from his point of view. He's this lumpy, melancholy creature who's just hanging around philosophizing about existentialism, and then he's got these Vikings who are just actively trying to murder him all the time. It's funny, but yet tragic at the same time. Gardner's novel is smart, and this film, it doesn't dumb it down. It's a real adaptation of literary work that takes the ideas seriously.
Something.
The director of Masters of Time also made the movie Fantastic Planet, you may be familiar with. I did talk about it in an early episode or two, and this is his follow-up. This is a French sci-fi movie about a boy on an alien planet who befriends a prince, and then there's some time travel, some interdimensional warfare happens, and it's kind of a lot. The animation is this weird mix of hand-drawn and then limited motion that just gives everything this dreamlike, hypnotic quality. This alien world feels beautiful, yet unsettling simultaneously. The character designs are just off enough to be disturbing. The world building here, though, it's absolutely incredible. This alien planet just feels alien. It's lived in, but super strange. The technology is organic, yet weird. The creatures, I mean, they're whimsical and threatening, but everything just fits with this alien vibe. The director understood that sci-fi animation, it could create environments live action just couldn't touch. All right, sometimes the movie does drag. I'm not going to lie here, but this is sitting at number 4 because it's visually stunning, but the story, it just isn't as tight as his masterpiece, Fantastic Planet.
Lottie! Cover me! Get away! Get away from him! Monsters!
All right, we have another anthology called Robot Carnival, but this one's a Japanese version with 8 different directors that tackle robots as the theme. And it's anime at its most experimental, and it's super ambitious. Every segment just completely different, different style, different tone, different approach. Some are funny, some are heartbreaking, and some are apocalyptic nightmares, but all are visually spectacular. For me, the standouts, it was Franken's Gears, which is a steampunk body horror by this mad scientist, and I really loved Presence, which is this gorgeous worldless piece about a robot just longing to be human. Even though, every segment brings something interesting. Deprive is a cyberpunk action that just still looks incredible today. Then there's Cloud, it's apocalyptic poetry. Nightmare, this is a surreal horror comedy about a drunk robot, and it's just friggin' hilarious. The animation quality across the board is insane, so detailed. This is what happens when you give talented directors freedom and resources. If you don't like one segment, just wait like 5 minutes and the whole vibe shifts. The only unifying elements here are robots and spectacular animation. As a showcase for what late 80s anime could do, when firing all cylinders, it's unmatched.
Orientalskripa. Alltså, den här morske pengegubben här.
All right, this is a animation that just blows my mind. This is Norwegian's stop motion masterpiece that almost nobody outside Scandinavia even knows about. It's the most widely seen Norwegian film of all time. It sold 5.5 million tickets in a country with only 5 million people. And let that sink in, right? All right, so this is about an inventor and his animal buddies, an optimistic magpie and a pessimistic hedgehog, and they discover that a former assistant stole their race car design and became a world champion. So they build an even better car and go and enter the race. This took 3 years to make with a super tiny team, and the craftsmanship is just absolutely incredible. Every single detail is just meticulously crafted stop motion. The race sequence at the end, it's just jaw-dropping. This movie actually played in theaters somewhere every single day for 28 years. I didn't misspeak there. For 28 years of continuous theatrical screenings. The humor is gentle and character-driven, but the world building is super rich, and there's just this wonderful Norwegian personality throughout the whole thing that makes it lived in and feel real. I'm putting this at number 2 because while it's technically brilliant and just charming as hell, I do think number 1 is just a smidge better. But the craft alone for this one makes it essential viewing.
Det ser ut til å være katastrofalt for felgen og Aladdin Oil dette. Og felgen blir nå også innhentet av det øvrige.
Oh. Come on now. Wouldn't you be interested in becoming a model? You sure do have the look for it.
A model?
Cut!
All right, this is it. This is our number one. Perfect Blue by Satoshi Kon. It was his debut, and it's a masterpiece that transcends the medium. This is a psychological thriller about a pop idol named Mima, and then her grip on reality, it just disintegrates. There's someone stalking her, someone's murdering people all around her, and she can't tell what's real anymore. And neither can we. And that's the brilliance of this. Kon uses animation to blur reality and delusions in ways that would make live action impossible. Those transitions between what's happening are just so seamless and disorienting that you're just as lost as she is. Every frame in this thing is deliberate. You know, like every edit was designed. You know what makes this truly adult, though? It's not just adult because there's nudity. It's that it's about something. It's about the exploitation of women in entertainment. You know, the male gaze, losing your identity to public perception, celebrity as a form of psychosis. This proved anime could do psychological horror as well as, and maybe even better than, any live action film. This is at number one because it's not just like the best film of this list. It's one of the best animated films ever made, really. This is the film that elevated adult animation into legitimate art house territory.
Mima! Oh my God, what happened to you? I looked all over for you.
Is it you?
What in the world has happened here?
All right, you know, these 10 films, they just prove that animation, it's not just for kids, right? This is a tool for creating impossible worlds and some really complex ideas. Do me a favor, if you want to see an episode 7, drop a comment in which movies I still haven't gotten to. What have I forgotten? What did I miss? And other than that, you know, hope to see you next time. So keep it weird, folks.
Well done, guys. Thanks for all the work and good times. Bye-bye, Mima the Pop Idol.
More ambulances and emergency crews are making their way.